Tonight, first in the nation, voters in Iowa are gathering to caucus as candidates make their final pitches on why they should be elected president. Good evening, I'm Kristen Vaki. Thanks for joining us. A big night in Iowa as voters prepare to caucus tonight. They're the first state to weigh in on the 2020 presidential election. CBS3's Anthony Matt joins us live in Des Moines, Iowa. Anthony, this is the first real chance we have to see where the candidates stand in the eyes of the voters.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Kristen. Welcome into the Iowa Convention Center here in downtown Des Moines, where this is the epicenter of the political world, and all eyes in the country are right here. Now, why are we here? We're here because this is where we'll start to see the results come in real time tonight, separating the winners and ultimately separating them from the crowd. Now, I'd give you guys a look around, but we are pretty much elbow to elbow in here, packed in like sardines. So why is this so important? Well, as you mentioned at the top of the show, they're first in the nation. This is where we're getting our first look at where the candidates stand against each other outside of the polls. So let's take a look at how this process works. Think of this as like your pretty typical neighborhood block party. Registered voters from a single precinct gather and publicly hash out who they think should be the party nomination. Imagine you're standing around the grill talking with your friends, trying to win over their support for a particular candidate. There's no secrecy, no private ballot, just a group of people talking it out. Presidential hopefuls need to get the support of at least 15% of a particular crowd to receive any state delegates, which are key to winning the party nomination. While the state delegates are what determines a winner here, the national delegates are what really matters going forward. There's only about 41 available here. That's about 1% of the total. Now, candidates need more than 1,900 national delegates to get that party nomination. But when we talk Iowa, it's not so much about the number of delegates, but gaining momentum. So let's take a look at where the candidates currently stand coming into today. There was recently a poll released from Emerson that polled registered Iowa voters. Sitting at the top of that one was Bernie Sanders with 28%, then followed by Joe Biden at 21%, then Buttigieg, Warren, and Klobuchar rounding out after that. Our Minnesota U.S. Senator is polling at around 11% in at least one poll. Now, the whole process of caucusing doesn't start until about 7 o'clock tonight. That's when people just descend on churches and schools and businesses, and they'll do the caucusing process. Now, we caught up with a few people that will be partaking in that tonight, and here's what they had to say about doing their civic duty.
Well, at this point in time, I'm undecided and may try and organize a undecided preference group. If push comes to shove, I'd probably be supporting Joe Biden.
It's taken me a long time, but I think I've come around to Amy Klobuchar. I think she's got a pretty good case that she can win in those swing states and the swing districts in those states that really decide the election.
And I switch back and forth between Biden and Warren, and I love Klobuchar too. I like all of them. So my head tells me Biden probably can beat Trump.
Again, each of those people will start caucusing about 57 minutes from right
now. Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar knows, again, each one of these people will start caucusing around 7 o'clock tonight. We will be heading inside a couple of those events as they happen. We'll show you what it's like inside those at 10. Now, Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar knows how important Iowa is for her campaign. She put more focus here than just about anywhere else as she's been on the campaign trail for about a year. Now, starting in December, just before Christmas, the senator became the first 2020 presidential candidate to hold campaign events in every single one of all 99 Iowa's counties. Now, what makes that feat more impressive, Klobuchar originally planned to accomplish that just before caucus day, but stepped up her schedule to finish her 99-county run before the new year because of the impending impeachment trial that's kept her in Washington. She continued her campaign run here over the weekend before watching the Super Bowl at a party last night on the north side of Des Moines. After touring every county around Iowa, Senator Amy Klobuchar made one last plea to the Hawkeye State ahead of Monday's caucuses.
I want to come to towns like Cedar Rapids and say, I delivered you child care across this state, not just child care deserts. I want to say I helped with K through 12. that I finally did the investment in infrastructure that we need across this state, that we did something about mental health and addiction, that we had people's backs.
With the support of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
through the words, the spirit, the compassion, and the leadership of our next president, Amy Klobuchar.
Klobuchar made stops with the Democratic governor in Mason City while also making stops in Cedar Rapids on the eve of the caucuses.
Wherever we go, and we're feeling good about the surge we're seeing.
9 months out from Decision 2020, she's picking up steam in the polls.
A few points away from people you guys talk about a lot, and in a number of polls last week, I was at number 3.
The Democrat urging people to get out and vote.
We know there are people out there that stayed home in the 2016 election. We know that there are people that voted for Trump. We know that there are people that voted for other candidates, and they're watching all of this right now. And especially in this state, you understand how critical they are in a general election.
So how important are these Iowa caucuses for the presidential hopefuls? Well, that answer might surprise you. On the Democratic side here in the Hawkeye State, the winner has gone on to represent the party in the presidential election every cycle dating back to 1996. Overall, going back to 1972 when the state earned the first in the nation status, the winner has represented the blue on the final ballot 75% of the time. Now on the Republican side, it hasn't meant quite as much, not accurately picking the winner since President George Bush in 2000. Results have accurately predicted the GOP presidential candidate only 50% of the time. While statistics like that can be telling, Dr. Cindy Rougeley, an associate professor at UMD, says it may be even more important to see where caucus supporters turn if their candidate underperforms.
And that's what's going to kind of get interesting. I mean, if you see Mayor Pete, for example, just off the top of my head, not hitting that 15% in certain counties, where are his supporters going to go? If you see, you know, Amy or Biden, you know, coming down in one of those, where are they going to go?
Now, 5 of the last 7 Democrats to win here have gone on to win the party nomination. However, only one of them has ended up in the White House. That's President Barack Obama. Now, is Iowa a good predictor for how Minnesota will vote on Super Tuesday, which is right around the corner in March? The short answer to that is no. Now, here's a look at the last 3 Republican caucus winners for Iowa and Minnesota. The only candidate to win both was Rick Santorum in 2012. Disagreement as well on the Democratic side. In 2016, Iowa went Clinton, Minnesota went Bernie. As you'd imagine, in 2012, Obama ran unopposed, but in 2008, he won both states. Now, Iowa has also proven in no way to be a predictor for how Wisconsin votes in its primaries, but the way Minnesota has had a caucus system as well, until this year, there will be a primary. Now, right now, tens of thousands, or shortly here, tens of thousands of people are going to take out to caucus around the state. Every registered voter in the state is eligible to participate. However, in 2016, only about 171,000 people, or about 16% of registered voters, participated. That was the second most ever, but still about 70,000 fewer than 2008. That's their record year for a turnout. Now, with the record of more than 2 million registered voters in the state, a new all-time high could be set today. That's going to do it for us right now here in Des Moines, Kristen, but be sure to stick with us as we'll have all the results as they come in throughout the night. We'll update that online and on our social media platforms. For now, that's going to do it for us. We'll have all those results. Kristen, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah, all eyes really on Iowa tonight, Tony, so we look forward to checking back in with you around 10. We'll see you then. Well, in less than an hour, caucus sites across the state of Iowa will officially open, and today the head of President Donald Trump's campaign held a press conference. The name of that campaign kept with President Trump's slogan back in 2016, that's Keep Iowa Great. Just because President Trump is the incumbent and will likely be the Republican nominee in Iowa does not mean he's slowing down. Several high-level surrogates spoke at this afternoon's event, including Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Laura Trump. They spoke about the importance of Iowa voters coming out and caucusing tonight. They say Iowans should remind their friends and neighbors of all the positives President Trump has done. Dave's here for a look at the weather. I'm not sure what it's like in Iowa, Dave, but boy, it was nice to see blue skies and sunshine today.
And now tonight we're going to feel temperatures going negative, below 0 up north and pretty close to 0 for the rest of the region. Our warm spell that lasted for about 16, 17 days is going away thanks to Arctic high pressure, driving a cold front right through the center of our area, clearing tonight. and then chilly for our Tuesday. Here in Duluth, we start at 0. Could be a little bit warmer than that for Wisconsin, but Iron Rangers, you're going towards 10 below or so. Stays on the sunnier side through the day. Top temp is only 13. That's finally cooler than normal. In a few more minutes, we'll talk about how long this cold snap will last. It won't be forever, but the week ahead, once it does warm up, may only be close to normal. And we'll show you that forecast in more details, like I mentioned, in a few more minutes.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Dave. Minnesota utility regulators approved a revised environmental review for a major pipeline project. The state's Public Utilities Commission voted 3-1 to approve the environmental impact statement for Enbridge's Line 3 project in northern Minnesota. It's a $2.6 billion project. The PUC says it adequately addressed the impact of potential spills in the Lake Superior watershed. The new pipeline would replace Enbridge's Line 3, which was built in the 1960s. Enbridge says the old line needs replacing because it's increasingly prone to corrosion and cracking. Environmental and tribal activists have urged regulators to kill the project. Still to come on Live Local CBS3, a DFL changeup. A longtime Iron Range lawmaker loses his role as minority leader to a Twin Cities lawmaker. What that means for the Iron Range after the break.
Yeah, today's temperature, the last of this long warm spell, hit 31. The normal is 21. Tomorrow will be 8 degrees shy of that. We'll talk about the duration of the cold snap coming up after our break.
Hey, Tom.
Sheila. Hey, don't take losing the Anderson business personally.
I resigned it, Tom. I guess they didn't tell you about their opossum problem.
I thought it was pronounced possum.
If it's time for adventure, then consider a two-wheeled ride from the place of the best selection of new and used Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Harley-Davidson Sports Center. We offer local, low-rate financing and, for a limited time, make no payments for 90 days, even if your credit is somewhere in the middle. Visit Harley-Davidson Sports Center, Highway 53 and Stebner Road, Duluth, or hdduluth.com for details.
Harley-Davidson Sports Center, the dealer that makes the difference.
Last summer, my hernia started hurting, so I decided that I needed to get something fixed. So it's made me feel a lot more confident dealing with patients and keeping patients safe.
Kelly Culver, a certified nurse practitioner, brings 6 years of experience and is taking appointments now.
Friday, March 6th, in the Otter Creek Event Center, Black Bear Casino Resort brings you a very special live appearance from the happy medium, Kim Russo. Star of the #1 hit series, The Haunting of, TV host, best-selling author, lecturer, and most sought-after medium worldwide. An evening of live readings and audience interaction, helping to achieve a more balanced and peaceful life. Tickets available at the Players Club or online at blackbearcasinoresort.com. Make the Bear your place.
Join us for Healthcare Career Night at Lake Superior College, Wednesday, February 12th from 4:30 to 7 p.m. Learn about the variety of healthcare programs at LSC, including medical lab technician, nursing, surgical technology, medical assisting, and more. RSVP today.
Here's the America I know, a country that puts working together ahead of standing apart, where we find common ground to expand health care and build a stronger, fairer economy and save our planet. I'm a problem solver. I build teams. I nurture good ideas. I hold myself accountable for results. It's how I led a complex, diverse city, and it's how I'll unite and lead this country.
I'm Mike Bloomberg, and I approve this message.
Better?
It's the biggest season in the history of Survivor.
We're all winners out here. Coming out here, we all have a target on our back.
20 champions return.
This will be the best of the best.
For a once-in-a-lifetime competition.
I want to be tested amongst the greatest, and I want to make my mark.
Now it's put up or shut up.
Survivor, Winners at War. Premieres February 12th on CBS.
Now, the CBS3 Duluth WeatherMax forecast with meteorologist Dave Anderson.
Well, out east, of course, it was Groundhog Day. In Punxsutawney Phil, I don't know if he saw a shadow or not, but the prediction was for a shorter winter. Around here where our winters can go towards 5 3/4 months long here, you know, if we only get 6 more weeks, that's a short spell. And around here, usually the groundhog is hibernating this time of year, so places like the Duluth Zoo will trot out their porcupine, and up around Lake Nichols, well, they keep their eye on the local muskrat, which does predict an early spring. I don't know. Our warm spell of the past couple of weeks is going away, and now a cold snap is coming to call, and that might put the kibosh on that sort of prediction. Now, let's go over to the airport in Duluth and take a look at those current numbers. It's 17 degrees there with a clearing sky as Arctic high pressure takes over to chase away the warm spell. Wind right now, it's northwesterly 9 miles per hour, relative humidity 56%, air pressure at 30.02. Odds are barometer readings will go up as that Arctic high takes over for a couple of days, and clearing the sky as well. Perhaps a slow process, clearer first for Minnesota, then it'll catch up towards Wisconsin and the UP. Current temperature is already dropping into the single digits towards International Falls, low double digits in Hibbing, but still clinging to the 20s there for Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula. But the cold front that's cutting across will send everybody's temperatures tumbling overnight here tonight, and could be towards 10 below International Falls, 0 around the head of the lakes, and maybe 5 above or so around Hayward. So cooler than it's been for about 2 weeks. Well, that cold front coming through right now has been kicking up the clouds and driving a little bit of light snow ahead. Really nothing major to talk about, and it is starting to fade away, but it did grease up a couple of roadways. So travel cautiously as you go out and about here tonight. With the Arctic high pressure coming to call, yeah, the upper Midwest will be on the cooler side probably for Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, things might start to warm up just a little bit once again as an Alberta clipper comes to call from the west. That'll bring us our next chance of snow, so it should be sunny and dry from now through Wednesday, and then come Thursday, a chance for about 1 or 2 inches of snow here as this clipper passes by the region. Now, let's take a look at the forecast for tonight in Minnesota. There we go, 10 below towards International Falls, 5 below for the ranges, or at least the Mesabi. Vermilion could go towards 8 below, and then 0 to maybe 3 or 5 above for the rest of the Gopher State. Into the Badger State, low temps there, thanks to the lingering cloud cover, could go from 2 to 6 above, but even that's cooler than normal. Tomorrow's high temp, Wisconsin, Michigan, around 15 for most towns with a partly sunny sky. Again, it'll be a slower process for the sunshine to take over for Wisconsin and the UP, but clear to partly cloudy Minnesota with highs from 7 inland to 15 by the lake. And now our extended forecast. Kristen, even Duluth will go below 0 by Wednesday morning, and temperatures will hover near normal then for the rest of the week, both for highs and for lows. And as far as snow chances go, Thursday, Friday, light stuff, and another chance for flurries by Sunday.
All right, well, as we know, I mean, it's a roller coaster, winter usually here, and some folks will be happy for a little bit of a cool down for those anglers
the ice
out
anglers
there.
and again the outdoor hockey moms who've been, you know, getting on my case about this.
It's no fun to skate on slush.
No, it isn't.
All right, thanks, Dave. There's been a change at the helm of the Minnesota Senate, and it could have some big implications for the Iron Range. This weekend, state senators voted Susan Kent, a DFLer from the Twin Cities, to be their next minority leader. That means longtime leader Tom Bach from the Iron Range was ousted from his seat. CBS 3's Ryan Campos spoke with an Iron Range political columnist and joins us now with what this means for our region going forward. Ryan.
Kristen, a DFL party shift at the state capitol as Kent was elected Senate Minority Leader, becoming the first woman to fill the role. Bach had served as the Senate Minority Leader for nearly a decade. He was first elected back in the chamber in 2002 after serving in the House for 8 years. Kent, meanwhile, is a 2-term member from the Twin Cities area. Many see her as a fresh face to help lead the party's negotiations this upcoming legislative session and secured DFL victories this election cycle. Her election also represents some DFLers' concerns when it came to Bach's views on topics like mining, pipelines, and gun laws. Experts say this shift signifies a greater political divide within a single party here in Minnesota.
If you were a DFL supporter because of healthcare policy or economic policy, not much changes for you. But if you were fixated on mining and pipelines and environmental deregulation, well, then you'll find that without Senator Bach in the leadership role, it will be more difficult for some of those things to go forward.
And we reached out to Bach today, but didn't hear back by news time. Meanwhile, in a statement, Kent called Bach a dedicated and powerful leader. She went on to say that the DFL caucus needs to make progress on health care accessibility, education, and working families. Now, coming up at 10, we hear from the Senate Majority Leader, Paul Gazelka, who also represents a region here in northern Minnesota.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Meanwhile, a chance tonight for you to weigh in on how and when Duluth police can use their new protective equipment. That equipment is sometimes known as riot gear. It's been a controversial topic in Duluth for about 14 months now. During that time, a working group has been crafting a policy for the equipment. And tonight, they'll present that policy to Police Chief Mike Tuskin. That meeting is open to the public. It started at 6 o'clock at Denfeld High School. Coming up tonight at 10, we will hear from the community and those who worked on the policy. And coming up in sports, we'll have a Super Bowl recap, plus how much did UMD's stellar performance propel them in the rankings. Kelly's in with sports next.
Save big on remaining 18, 19, and 20 boats at Ray's Sport and Marine.
It's part of NADH. So as NADH comes in, he is dropping off. So as our NADH comes in, he's dropping off his hydrogen that's getting pumped up as the electron moves through. The electron energizes the protein and it pumps the hydrogen up against the gradient. Yeah. And then these ones are actually coming from the FEDH2. He's dropping off his two, and then the electron moves to this one and pumps that guy, and then he moves to this one and pumps this guy, and then the electron goes down here because the oxygen is so electronegative. He's been pulling so hard on the electron to get him there, and they bond and they're finally happy. They go through here. And then how do the hydrogens get there? So now they've actively were transported up right against their gradient. Now they're going to diffuse. They're going to do chemiosmosis. Ions are going to move down a gradient. They're going to move down through here. This one too. And this one too.
Vaping has been declared a national epidemic among youth. 1 in 3 high schoolers vape in northeastern Minnesota.
My child started having seizures from vaping. There's still so many unknown chemicals.
One vape cartridge has as much nicotine as at least 2 packs of cigarettes.
My child was hospitalized with severe lung injuries.
They said it was no big deal.
My child said it was no risk.
That it was under control.
That's what my child said, but what could I have said? Get the facts and talk to your child today.
This Valentine's Day, Numi Jewelers is featuring 2 ways to a woman's heart. A real rose trimmed in pure 24-karat gold that lasts forever, and a pendant necklace for just $99.
True love is guaranteed at Numi Jewelers.
Attention farmers, gardeners, landscapers, and anyone who sprayed or handled Roundup. Using Roundup has been linked to serious health risks including cancer. If you used Roundup and diagnosed with leukemia or lymphoma, you should know your rights and ask if you qualify for financial compensation. Time may be running out. Ask us if exposure to Roundup entitles you to financial compensation. Roundup victims, call now.
America's Most Watched Network. Tonight starting at 7, only on CBS3 Duluth. Then, stay tuned for CBS3 News at 10. Get your news on the go, the CBS3 mobile app.
Being a disabled veteran and to have a tooth pain on top of severe PTSD will take you down in the dump. After several denials, when I went to Aspen Dental, they gave me a free exam, free x-rays. The doctor comes in and he's like, you are in pain, so we're going to get you taken care of. I had no insurance.
At Aspen Dental, we're all about yes. Like yes to flexible hours and payment options. Yes to 30% off dental services. And yes, we'll take care of you no matter what. Call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL today.
Now, CBS3 Sports with Kelly Hinson.
It was the perfect outcome at nearly the perfect time as the UMD men's hockey team brought home 6 huge, much-needed points from their series out in Denver this past weekend. The then 10th-ranked Bulldogs swept the then 4th-ranked Pioneers, outscoring them 7-3 in 2 games. UMD leaped up 4 spots in the rankings this week, now ranked 6th in today's latest USCHO poll, while Denver dropped to 7th. The Bulldogs are now unbeaten in their last 5 matchups with the Pioneers. Junior defenseman Scott Prunovich tallied 4 points on the weekend, the most of any NCHC defenseman this weekend, and that earned him a Conference Defenseman of the Week honor. UMD will play 2 more series at home this regular season, and one of them is this weekend. The Bulldogs return to Amsoil to take on Nebraska Omaha, who is not ranked, but they are receiving national votes. It'll be back on TV live on My 9 Sports both Friday and Saturday. Meanwhile, UMD women's hockey team continues to hold down the number 9 spot in the USCHO rankings. Bulldogs pulled off an impressive split against the 2nd-ranked Gophers down in Minneapolis in what ended up being 2 completely opposite games. I was there on Friday. It was a 5-0 shutout loss that night and a huge 2-0 shutout win on Saturday. It was the Bulldogs' first road shutout win in 2 years. UMD is back at Amsoil this weekend to take on 5th-ranked Ohio State, and puck drop for that one is 3:07 p.m. on Friday. Well, the holiday officially or unofficially recognized as Super Monday, where we are all recovering from too much queso and a roller coaster of a football game. Of course, I'm talking about the Super Bowl down in Miami, in which for the first time in 50 years, the Kansas City Chiefs are your Super Bowl champs. MVP Patrick Mahomes led KC to a 10-point comeback to an absolutely stunning victory over the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs are now the first team in NFL history to win 3 games after trailing by 10 or more points in a single postseason.
We've got explosive players. We have guys that trust each other, so that's the biggest thing. Where you're down by 24 points, you don't collapse as a team mentally, and they keep firing. Patrick Mahomes, when he first became a starter, and just said, "This is the greatest player I've ever seen." And I'm going, well, that's a pretty bold statement. You know, he's seen a few guys. So he kept laying the tape on my desk, and I'm going, this is like the greatest player I've ever seen. I mean, it was one of those deals.
I would agree with that. And I want to know where Andy Reid got his Hawaiian shirt. Some news for Minnesota Wild fans. Nick Seeler, born and bred in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, is heading to Chicago. The defenseman was claimed off waivers earlier today by the Chicago Blackhawks. Seeler had only played in 6 games this season with the Wild, and he hasn't seen the ice since December 7th. The 5th-round pick by Minnesota in 2011. The Minnesota Golden Gopher alum played in 22 games in 2017-2018 before moving into a regular role last year. And it's a sad day. He didn't play a lot in this season. He hasn't seen the ice since December 7th, but that footage is actually when he came up to Duluth and was going to fly with the Blue Angels. Nicest guy, Hermantown, or he played in Hermantown on Hockey Day, Minnesota, from Eden Prairie. Just nothing but the best for him.
Yeah,
hoping.
good luck to him.
Forward.
Maybe he'll be back someday. You never know.
Hopefully.
All right, thanks, Kelly. Well, a fire destroyed a home in Esco early this morning. The fire's rural location made it a challenge for first responders, and firefighters say snow, ice, and access to fire hydrants can slow them down when they're trying to put out a house fire. Esco's fire chief says taking a few small steps can help protect people and protect their homes. Coming up at 10, we'll hear from Duluth firefighters about the different challenges they face in the city. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.